In this video, I'm gonna open this brand new table saw, and then after using it for a while, I'm gonna tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and whether or not I recommend it. So if you're ready, let's get after it. This product is a DeWalt table saw. It's the DWE7485 brand, and it's the electric version. There's a battery version, but I don't really want the battery version because this is going to be just for my internal shop. This is a great solution for very small shops, or if you are a contractor and you need to move your table saw from job site to job site. So let's get this thing open and take a look at it. All right, just unboxing it, I can tell it's really high quality. Got some really thick plastic all the way around, and as it's a contractor saw, so it makes sense, but they have the contractor in mind. Everything that comes with this saw is attached in some way, stowed away on the table saw itself. So let's get this thing on a stand of some sort, and then we'll get it fired up, and we'll put some wood through it and see how it does. One of the first things you're going to want to do when you get a table saw is to check its accuracy. So the best way to do that is to set the table saw to a number, say 1 inch, make a cut, and then take a reliable ruler or something like that and make sure it is exactly 1 inch. If it's not, this table saw actually gives you the ability to fine-tune those adjustments so you can actually go back to make sure it's super precise. So we're going to do that right now, and we're going to see just how accurate it is out of the box. Looks dead on accurate to me. So I'm not going to do this because knowing my luck, I would never get it back to exactly perfect. But if you did need to, you just loosen these screws, move this plastic piece to where you needed it to, tighten those screws back up, take another cut to verify you're actually dead on. All right, so the next thing I'm going to check is the dust collection. Now I only have one hose, so I can only check the bottom one, and I don't usually use the guard on top anyway, so I'm not going to be testing that dust collection on top. But if you have 2 dust collectors or 2 hoses, it's only going to get better when you attach them both and use them both. But for this portion of the test, I'm just going to use the bottom port, and I'm going to hook it up, but I'm going to run the first board through with no dust collection, kind of see what dust is left on and around the table saw, clean it off, and then I'm going to turn the dust collection on, and then run another same board through, same cut exactly, and then see how much dust is on and around the table saw. So let me go ahead and do that next. All right. Well, this was a standard 1x4, so not really a robust piece of wood I put through there. Hopefully you could tell the difference between the two. There's a lot of sawdust on me. The first cut was dramatically different from the second cut, but you could also see in the second cut there was a lot of sawdust getting kicked up at me. And so if I had a second dust collector, I would hook it up to the top guard if I really wanted to minimize dust in my shop. I actually do have a dust collector that I'm going to set up in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. So hopefully by that time, when I do set up that and I'll have my shop vac, I'll be able to have 2 hoses that I can hook in and really minimize the dust in my shop. But the verdict here is just like its predecessor. It has really good dust collection for the stuff that's getting sucked down into the table saw down through the bottom dust port. I'm really happy with it. So as far as this goes, I don't really have anything to compare it to other than its predecessor, but I think the dust collector is probably a B+. Now here you'll see the first problem that I have with this table saw, which comes with the territory of having a contractor table saw, which is that it doesn't come with a stand. Now you can buy a stand after you buy this saw. If you decide that you want a stand, you can also buy this model with a stand, but I want something that has some storage underneath it. So I'm gonna build something in a later date. This is probably the biggest disadvantage for this table saw in my book. You can see down here the arbor, which is the bolt that holds the saw blade on. It's so small that you cannot put a dado blade on here. So dado blades are not compatible with this table saw. So if you're gonna cut dados, you need to take multiple passes with this blade, a normal blade, or you have to set up a router and a straight edge and cut your dados that way. Something else I'm not a huge fan of about this table saw is this throat plate. As you can see, I can almost get my finger down in here between the blade and the side of the throat plate. The other side is about half the distance, but I'm still not sure why you need that much of a gap. There's not really it's not really clearing anything. And so probably what I'm gonna do, at least for my purposes, is to make another throat plate out of MDF or something so it'll fit perfectly in here, and then I'll run the table fence over on top of it and then slowly bring the blade up through so you got a perfect kerf sized cut in there, and then there's no clearance, nothing can fall down in there. This is a contractor saw, so this is probably sufficient for contractors, but if you're going to do anything fine woodworking type, you need to be able to have something that doesn't have this kind of a gap. This is another safety feature that my last unit didn't have that I really like on this one. So this is a lock that keeps you from being able to push the start button here. So it obviously clips up out of the way, so you can start it now. If this were flipped down, you wouldn't be able to. You couldn't get your finger in there. And also, once you start it, all you really have to do is bump this, whether it be with your knee or your hand or whatever, and then it'll turn the saw back off. So that's a really neat feature. And then right next to it, you've got the actuator that'll bring the blade up and down. Now, I really like how you can fine tune this. There are some saws, you take a couple revolutions and the blade is all the way up. This one, you can turn it and it'll go up very slowly. And so you can do nice fine changes in the elevation of the blade for whatever application you need. You also have this actuator here, which you unlock it and you can just pull it to the side and it'll go to whatever degree, up to almost 50 degrees angle on the blade, so you can cut angles as well. Here's another feature I really like. If you come down here, this is what releases the fence, locks down and releases. And you can move it with your hand, but you can also fine tune it with this little knob right here. As you can see, that is extremely handy. And once you get it to where you want it, you lock it back down, just like that, and you're all set. You can also slide it out for a little more than 24-inch capacity, but when it's all the way out here, your workpiece can slide under the fence right here. To avoid that, this guy flops over, snaps down, and this is flush with the bed of the table saw, and so you always have support for your piece right here. In recap, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The goods are that it has a small footprint, it's lightweight so it's easy to carry, all the parts stow on the saw so you can take them all with you and not miss a part. It can handle dense woods, and it can do just about any job you want it to do. As far as the bads are concerned, my biggest criticism is that you cannot use a dado blade with this table saw. It also can't handle big stock like large sheets of plywood, so you're going to need something like a track saw to be able to do that. And the throat plate has a pretty considerable gap. So if you want to make sure that small pieces of cutoffs don't fall in there, you need to make a zero clearance insert. All right, and the ugly. Now it's a contractor saw and it's supposed to be lightweight, but that could work against you in some cases. If you're trying to push some stock through and you bump it and you move it, then that could be a safety issue. So I recommend you secure it to a bench, you secure it to a table, you buy the stand for it just to make sure that it's nice and sturdy and it's not going to move around on you while you're making cuts. Final verdict. If you have a small shop or don't want to spring the money for a large table saw, then this is a great option for you at an affordable price. On the flip side, if you do really large projects like cabinetry or something that requires a large table saw, then this is probably not the tool for you. If you'd like to pick one up for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below. All right, that's it for this video. We'll see you next time. Okay, this product, why do I need to start with okay? Just start talking. Clips up out of the way. So you start it. I forgot I turned it on.